I don't believe it. That's Clone Force 99.
This is Wrecker, Hunter, Echo, Tech, and Crosshair.
Obviously, we are different.
We're all you're getting. Ha! We're all you need!
They call themselves the Bad Batch. Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations.
This is one meeting I don't want to miss.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Dad Batch Podcast, episode 44. Strap in, shut up, or shut down. Get ready for a special Father's Day episode. My name is Steven Schultz, and I am your host in the pilot seat today. And you know, I can't do it alone. With us, as always, the other Dad Batchers, your space daddies. First up, he's a father of two grown-ass men. It's Joe Lara.
That is true.
How are you, man?
Doing great, and they are getting bigger. That's what happens with kids. Over time, they grow.
Oh, dude.
I know.
I don't want that. I don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Dude,
Don't grow up.
Steven and John, your kids at that stage, they're so cute. And it's like, take lots of video. Pictures are great, but take lots of video because their voices are so precious. For sure.
That's
But
cool,
I'm doing
man.
well, man. I'm doing well. Yeah.
How was your week? How was your weekend? How's it going?
It's super busy. And it was funny. I was talking to somebody on IG, Tammy. She's up in Canada. She's really, really cool Star Wars fan as well. And she always checks in, how you doing? I'm like, man, if I had to summarize it, it's vintage or retro or something like old school, because first of all, I found this freaking old shuffle from back in 2005. And then I was listening to vinyl records on Saturday, Aretha Franklin, 1972.
Oh, wow.
Went to military retirement ceremony on Friday, and all the memories from the military came back. I bought a VCR to watch a VHS tape.
Sick.
Because on Tuesday is Kim and it's our wedding anniversary, the 25th, the big one.
Huh.
Oh boy.
And so everything's on VHS tape, and so we're like, oh my god! So,
Congratulations, man. That's
big
awesome.
one.
Yeah, so it's a lot of memories, memory lane basically. I was looking at old photos, and
When's that? This weekend, you said?
It's Tuesday. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So that's kind of what I've been up to and where my mind has been for the last couple of days.
So, Joe, kids nowadays on their iPads, because like all kids have iPads, right?
Yep.
When you want to get out of kid mode and access like the parental control panel, you have to answer a question. And sometimes it's like, what's 2067 plus, the square root of 49 or something, something like that. One of the questions that I saw recently was, what is a VCR used for? I was like, oh man, are we really at that stage now? No. Oh yeah. It's multiple choice.
Like to watch
Yeah.
video or to play music or whatever,
to play videotapes. And then
right.
And then the kids wouldn't even know the concept of a videotape. Like,
Nope.
Well, yeah,
There was
they
a
wouldn't
period
know
of
what that
time-
was.
There was a period of time when I had a Discman. It was like a mini Discman, because it was the transition from CD to Napster to like MP3s or whatever. And I just said Napster.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like, it's just,
oh,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
it's so freaking funny, man. Like ripping music and the whole thing. Yeah. Oh. Feeling nostalgic.
Totally, man. Remy, you good? Are you
I
still
can see him.
troubleshooting?
He said,
There he is.
what the heck is going on, guys? That's what he said.
Is that your shuffle, Brian?
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
See, you found yours too.
I got 3 shuffles. I still have the plug too. There's the little tiny one. That was the last one. These were the best for snowboarding.
Dude,
And then-
so I had,
Here you
we
go.
had 3 of them.
Bam.
We had 3 of them also. I have one of those.
Oh, Raimi screwed. Look at that iPod mirrored
But this
back.
one still works, dude.
That's
like,
sick.
Freaking.
Well,
anyway.
Echo's having difficulties. Let's just skip them.
No.
Well,
We're having technical difficulties.
You can come back to him.
Yeah, we can come
No
back
man
to him.
left behind.
Yeah.
No.
Next up, he's got
An Echo. He's got an Echo in here. It's Echo.
What is the deal?
Oh,
this
If
is
you
why
can't make light out of a situation, what are you even doing? You know what I'm saying?
this is why we're not
Oh,
ready for
man.
YouTube Live.
that was me last week, man.
All right.
It's so frustrating, dude.
Next up, he's the best poppy in the whole wide world. It's John
Poppy.
Rodriguez.
God damn it.
How are you, man?
Happy. Good. I'm good.
That's the
I'm good.
sweetest intro.
That's very, very
Straight
tender,
into-
very genuine.
God damn it.
I'm good. As we continue to see Raimi fade in and out of this transmission, I've been good. I've been playing a lot of footy, as I've been saying in the last few couple months.
Soccer.
Yeah, a little bit of football.
Foot A.
I'm
Football.
so American.
Football.
A little
Gavin.
bit of footy. But yeah,
Go
I've been loving it. I feel good and been going
That's sick.
a bunch now, few times a week now, and yeah.
You needed that in your life, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I needed it back because what I had before, I used to skate and do a little bit of footy, and then I got in that motorcycle accident like 5 years ago or something, and I stopped doing everything 6 years ago, and that was about the time I got into the cosplay stuff. Like that was like because I was not doing anything, like I was hurt at home.
You
and I didn't have much to do.
Something, right?
Yeah, well, it was like my
Scrolling
introduction to
the
something
internet.
because I was just I was like looking up lightsabers. I'm like, wow, you can buy a lightsaber, and whatever. Went from there, but good. Everything's cool. Feeling good. Lots on the workbench. Yeah, can you hear that? That's my daughter screaming like a.
That's not her yelling Poppy. That's not. No.
The chimpanzee screech. Not anymore. She stopped, but yeah, if you hear that, it's her for sure. She's downstairs too. I don't know how it projects so loud.
Do you guys have any special plans or anything for this weekend?
I don't know. I
You're
don't
not
know.
supposed to know, right? That's we're not.
Yeah.
It's funny because at my house, I have to not necessarily plan everything, but it's like
What do you want to do, Steven?
there's like certain parameters that I'm always asked about. Like, okay, so on Father's Day, is it going to be this, and this, or that, and that? I'm like,
Do you want to do this or do you not want to do that or
right?
Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure if there's going to be some sort of surprise or if there's nothing planned and we're just going to decide on the day if we're going to go eat something or go somewhere or whatever. I'm not sure.
Ask for a
It's
bowl of
more
chili.
I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to wake up at like 5:30. I'm going to set the alarm. I'm going to wake my wife up at 5:30 and she's not going to know about it. We're going to go in blind. I'm going to be like, sweetie pie, I know it's 5:30, but can you make me some chili?
And smack
I
your
want to be
lips when you
served
ask.
in bed,
Hey.
and I need it to be piping hot, like steaming hot. Don't burn yourself.
Honey,
Lobster
But do
chili,
serve
don't
me.
forget.
you know what I'm
Well-
craving right now?
I want milanesa chili. Yeah.
Some Father's Day
yeah.
lobster chili.
Dude, Chat GPT that recipe. We'll spit it out.
Hey.
Hey.
But yeah,
Right on, man.
we'll see. Yeah. Thank you.
Next up, he's the real life father to our very own Omega. It's Brian Cook. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm crazy. I'm on. I've been home for 4 days, and I leave tomorrow.
Yeah, this
Until
is
Father's
weird.
Day.
This is weird to see and hear you from your actually like primary residence.
That's this week. Special. It's a special showing. This week only. Next week I will be back in a hotel room.
What's up? So,
but whatever.
So
I'm good.
for the Ford. So you're not going to be home for Father's Day.
No, I'm gonna be home for like an hour. Like I'm gonna be driving home from like a 5-6 hour drive, unloading my truck, reloading it because I have to be somewhere else by 5 p.m. to set up for another work thing. So whatever. It's another holiday. We'll settle up when I get back. We'll just do something.
Crazy,
cool.
man.
I mean, last time when I got back, whatever Thursday or Friday it was when I got back, is like as soon as I walk in the door, I'm like, it's warm out. Let's go on the boat, and we just run out on the boat, and the show's going great. He's here still. He's here. But yeah, I don't know what else
is happening.
What else is going on? Got a few things going on. It's been a little bit crazy, but oh, dude, you guys see this shirt, dude? Come on.
That's a sick shirt.
I don't even know if it's gonna make it on YouTube, but
I
see it.
So it's basically it's Cad Bane, but in the style of
full
Fistful of Dollars. Is that it? Or no?
It's full
Good, the
like
Bad, and the Ugly.
Clint Eastwood. Yep, Good, Bad, and the Ugly style. Heroes and villains. Sick shirt.
So sick.
I love it.
It's like
I love how it's
poster art.
off-centered, just like like the good old Western,
just like the movie poster. So
Yeah.
thank you, Heroes and Villains. Really like my stuff. John, I did some skateboarding today for a brief moment. I think I sent y'all a picture. So
You did.
yeah, it was fun.
Oh.
I had a box of shoes. I think everyone knows here I work in the shoe industry. I had like a box of shoes that I'd like.
but cool shoes,
lightly
not clown
worn.
shoes. I mean, there's a big
Not
difference.
clown shoes,
there.
not like
There
those
you go.
mischief like clown boots or anything, but
Brian, can you get me some of those AVEs that we were talking about today? Those like
it's next year they
sock
come
shoes?
out, but yeah, next year.
Oh,
next year.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. That's the new stuff.
When your
But,
foot falls off, then he'll get you some.
Damn.
Well, then I'll just need
it
one.
was cool. I brought this big box of shoes and like posted it on Instagram and tagged like the skate park in it and was like, hey, whoever's a size 10, finders keepers, get after it. So did one of those, which was cool today. Got rid of some old stuff and
Dude, that's like a
pumped it
real
out a
life
little bit.
shock drop.
That's rad.
Yeah. People do that. I think people do it in everything. People will drop art. People will drop skateboard stuff, post it,
Mhm.
put it on social
If they've got a
media.
following, yeah.
Go get it. Pick it up. I just tagged the
We-
skate park and the skate park reposted it. So I'm sure some little rat kid was like, oh, what?
I'm
Didn't even
here.
fit. Not even a size 10. Just grabbed them.
It's like I'm gonna sell these on
Box,
eBay.
ran.
They're free.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully.
We should do that at Comic Cons. We should like
Get stuff.
tweet out like, hey, come pick up this free thing that we
I
left
think
over
Joe's
here.
done it, right? Joe, didn't you drop merch around Disneyland before?
Yeah, stickers and stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So I'll drop it, and then Kim looks back to see who gets it, and there's always some kid that'll grab it, and
Did you film it?
it's pretty cool.
Like behind the scenes?
We haven't filmed it
Oh,
because it might be kind of
okay.
creepy, you know.
Okay,
I don't wanna-
fair enough.
I don't want
Yeah,
to
you're
get
not
kicked out.
There you are.
Sir,
It's
why
fun
are
if
you
it's people
filming
that-
children with your
It's
phone?
been found.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
If you
not
hide
good.
it good, it's fun because then like they'll you can be like, hey, find it and tag me in it. You know, that's pretty cool.
I try to put it
So-
at like lower levels though, so where little eyes can kind of see.
Yeah, you want the kids to grab it. I like that.
Yeah, I don't
That's
want
cool.
some 40-year-old dad like me to pick it up.
Hey man.
Dads need stuff too.
Yeah. Next up, he's got 6 little ones of his own in his own cloning facility. It's Raimi Shanaday. How are you, man?
It would seem that way too, and they look alike too. So
That's good. That's step one.
That's good. That's a good sign.
yeah. Well, okay. Well, they each look like at least one of the others. Some of them look like, but there's like, all the Sky's kind of got her own vibe going. But Shayla and Bray look alike. Sienna, Bubby, and Safina look alike. So they all look related, which is good. I would guess
That's
So,
good.
I'm good. A lot of traveling. got back from Atlanta safe and sound. I realized like I had been gone for like 9 days in a row there, which I know Brian's like cry me a river, but that's just the way it goes these days sometimes. Had a big Garrison build party. So we had an armor party at one of the local schools here on Saturday. It was
that's
good
right.
turnout.
Yeah.
Just got to see Steven.
I heard something about that location is really good. What makes it super good for building?
So that school has like an outdoor cafeteria area. And so there's a bunch of benches, like picnic benches.
Like covering too?
It's all covered.
Nice.
We've got access to the gym and
everything
bathrooms and shade. There's shade, power, tables.
How do you get that hook up? Just it was a relationship through the school, or
one of our former squad leaders happens to be a counselor at that school.
Perfect.
So he's got the keys to the kingdom. All we have to do is we take out a permit with the school, and we have to pay for like a day's worth of insurance. So the whole thing, like it costs us about $200 to set that up for the day.
That's so worth it.
But then we're golden. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The only downside is you can't bring some
refreshment.
Right. Well, that's
blue
good.
milk. You can't
bring no brewskis.
Yeah.
That's what Listerine bottles are for, Brian.
That just doesn't feel right.
Like it stopped you in high school back in the day.
This is my company travel mug. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not tea.
Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. If you'd like to rep your support for the show, pick up one of our new shirts, like the Space Daddy shirt, or stickers at thedadbatch.com.
This garbage is nothing like clone armor.
Looks a little tight on you, old man.
Yeah, at least I know how to wear it.
That's right, everybody. It's time for the weekly Workbench. Gentlemen, before we get into who's working on what, I mentioned at the top of the intros that today was a special Father's Day episode. And so what I'm going to do is ask each of you a Father's Day question. It's going to be, what is your best or favorite memory or example of fatherhood in your lives? And I'll kick it off first. And, I think for me, when I think back to like my dad, there wasn't like any one particular instance where I was like, oh, this is a good example of you being a father. But when I look back at everything in totality, some of my favorite times were just so before we opened our actual brick and mortar comic book store, we would do like these trade show events. And so we would drive all over Southern California, from San Diego to Pasadena to all these places. And, it was just me and my dad in a car full of collectibles and stuff, doing these trade shows from, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I remember like after every single trade show was over, he'd tell me to go start packing up, putting stuff in the car. We'd hit up, like a drive-through, like an Arby's or something on the way home. We'd be singing to like golden oldies, like the 60s, and just some of the best times. Yeah, like it just, those are the things that you don't think about at the time. So for me, that's what I'm trying to pass on to my kids, is just to make every single moment like one of those. So when they look back at it, they have fond memories as well. Now, as far as Workbench, I didn't have anything on the Workbench today except for myself. I actually finally got my tooth fixed at the dentist. Oh. So, and it's crazy. So
nice.
Nowadays, thanks. So nowadays, when they do root canals, guys, there's there's still metal involved with like the actual drill and stuff. But see, back in the day, like I remember a root canal was like these painful metal tube things that go all the way up into your jaw and all that. Things
down into your, or up, wherever it is.
Guys, it was terrible. Like literally being on one of our workbenches, because my tooth is now filled. My root is filled with resin.
UV resin. What's it taste like?
Wait,
Does it
wait,
taste
wait,
the
wait,
same?
wait. So they didn't do the little needle things anymore?
Okay, so how they do it?
That's
and
the worst.
All of our dentist, all of our dentist
Song,
listeners
can you call in and tell? Song
So-
is a dentist, I think.
So I was like very interested in this process because I saw like this whole tray of like new tools that I was like, ooh, what's this? What's that?
I need that.
So there's a
What you
syringe.
doing? Yeah.
Okay, there was like a syringe, and imagine like the needle on the syringe is so thin that a needle was like wavy. Like you could just like bend it like a guitar string,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but it's hollow. It's a needle. So
Yeah.
that's what they stick up all the way up in the root through your tooth.
Oh wow.
And then as they push the syringe, it's the needle
Pull it
itself
down.
is filling with the resin and they're pulling it out. And then your whole entire root is filled with resin and they just light it up.
But
I was in and out in 20 minutes.
but like a root canal, they have to they drill it to kill
Well,
the
yeah,
root. So does that kill the root?
No, they still drill with like a regular drill and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
they still have to
Yeah.
dig everything out, right?
Oh, okay.
But they would fill it in
He's talking
before.
about just the filling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So like afterwards, when they were all done, they took another X-ray of my tooth and it was just completely solid. I was like, it's nuts.
So they
Wasn't
use
hollow
resin
anymore,
to fill the
right?
cracks, not Bondo spot putty.
No,
Got it.
no.
Lesson
Yeah,
learned.
no sanding.
And I was like, are you guys using Frozen? Are you using Soriatec?
Yeah,
what do you got going on?
What are we going? Elegoo? What do we got?
Whatever's cheaper
that-
on Amazon.
Yeah, for real. That's it on my workbench.
Who wants to go next? John?
I
Remy.
can.
Anybody?
Go.
Well, I have a lot of stuff. I'll go. Fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's something I did want to talk about in terms of Workbench and stuff, and Chris Bartlett came to mind. I haven't spoken to any of you guys about this yet, but I was just thinking about Chris Bartlett and how he kind of not owned, but he kind of like focused on this really niche aspect of costuming in terms of like the droids and like being able to fit into these costumes and like really practicing the mannerisms and studying the characters and doing everything that he did to get where he is now, especially because I knew him before. Well, I think we all did, but I to me it seemed so I don't know how to say it. I don't know, but I figured I would try to take a similar approach in terms of doing creature stuff and creature acting and maybe learning to paint. So basically, what I'm saying is I'm feeling pretty inspired to paint the Bith I got,
Nice.
and I'm actually going to hook up with John Flake eventually to paint this, and he's going to teach me on one of the masks he has. But I wanted to sort of take that approach, or at least that mindset, to sort of become the character and more so than we do at Troops, the way we try to anyway.
That's cool, dude.
But yeah,
Like
I don't know.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
it is.
it
It is
was
a
something I've been
mindset,
thinking about.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about
it's
something
I've
like
been
that
thinking about for a while.
on one of our episodes before, where it was like a listener question, and I think I don't know whose response it was, but it was something along the lines of like, if you just keep doing what you love, and you happen to end up on a Star Wars show, then cool, right? And if you don't end up on a Star
Sure.
Wars show or something, or a movie
okay.
or whatever, oh, you like, poor you were just doing whatever you loved for the whole time,
It's a win-win.
If you didn't get to
basically.
do it, I mean, yeah. Either way, it's a good thing. But I'm saying is because I never thought about or considered painting some latex masks, and I know there are people that do it, but there's way more people that paint helmets and stuff. So I figured maybe I'll dive into that pool for a little bit and see what's going on and see how I can paint these, and maybe I could buy a couple of these, paint them, and sell them, and do what I did with the helmets for years, and try it out with the masks. I don't know. But on top of that, I have that Praetorian helmet you guys probably see, and that I sent you guys through the chat probably. I'm waiting on some 2K for that bad boy, and then I could throw a visor on it. And I have that Mega Man X helmet that's kind of obscure. Also waiting on 2K for that.
Oh, I was gonna say it's not chrome
I
yet.
think I'm gonna do the metallic. Not yet. 2K arrives on Saturday, so that's probably when it's going on. And I guess that's it. I think that's it.
Did you want us to talk about the Father's Day piece, Stephen? No? Okay.
Oh,
Ramey? John?
So
Ramey.
no.
I'm sorry. What was the verdict on Father's Day piece? Because I thought that was the idea that we would talk about the father stuff. No. Okay. So okay, on my workbench this week, I've been continuing to plug away on my Denizen. I had this. I wanted something kind of more going on my arms, and so I had this old iPod, an iPod, like one of the ones with the screen and everything, and so I thought it was small enough that it could fit on my arm, but big enough that it was, it needed something. I didn't want to just strap it on there, so I modeled a gauntlet around the dimensions of this iPod. And so I've got it printed out. I'm kind of going through the post-processing work. I will get this posted up on Instagram here in the next week or so. My plan is I'll put the files up there on my file share. If anybody happens to have an iPod of that model, I'd be more than happy to let you take the files, print it out. You'll have a little gauntlet that will hold that iPod. It looks pretty cool. And again, I've been taking video of my process and everything along the way. And
I think it's sick, Ramey. It is
So
really
cool. It's really
cool. And then I got a weird bug up my behind to like kind of continue adding custom pieces to this Denizen. So I modeled out a jetpack backpack kind of combo thing that hopefully is sitting on the printer finished when I get home. And so it incorporates some details from the aesthetic of the helmet that I've got, which is a pretty distinctive looking helmet. So I modeled all the details on this backpack around that. So it carries that same vibe, and it'll be the same color palette and everything from the helmet to the gauntlet and to the backpack. So I'm starting to kind of build all these custom pieces around what was originally just this helmet that I got. So looking forward to that. And John's holding up these keys that he's got. I started with the idea of having some like the Jedi Temple Guard keys kind of hanging from my belt, almost like like the janitor has a bunch of keys hanging from his belt, like that kind of thing. But maybe some of those keys would be added into the mix there. So we'll see.
I forgot to mention these during
my
go ahead,
turn.
Prop Right Props, who we already know, a friend of the podcast. First, he had sent me the other keys he has, which are from like the Galaxy's Edge. Yeah, there you go. There's the there's that. Yeah. So he sent me the keys from Galaxy's Edge, which I'm like, they're on my workbench as well right now. They're getting prepped to be painted. But I just got these in the mail, which are like the Bad Batch version of those keys, and they're all individualized. Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, Tech, Echo, Omega.
Sick.
All the keys.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think I have Joe's, Stevens, and Ramey's here.
Nice.
Yay. That's awesome.
Oh, what do you mean? Like keys for like? Like
dude.
actual keys for us?
Yeah.
And those, as I understand it, those are a Dad Batch exclusive, right?
Prop Right Props.
Apparently, these are just for us. Yeah, as far as I understand.
Yeah, he messaged me.
That's
so
awesome.
So cool.
All the other designs are great. So definitely check those
the
out.
other ones are amazing too. Yeah. So right on.
He's
So
on the
thank you so
live.
much.
He's on the live, and he said now Record
Is he?
can lock the door of the Marauder so it won't get stolen again.
Oh, dang.
It's not Tech's fault.
It wasn't my fault.
Spicy. Spicy.
And you
Right
dropped
on.
Tech. Gosh, that's two.
Thanks, Randy.
Oh,
for
damn.
2 for 2.
Dang.
No.
That's awesome.
That's it for my workbench.
Yeah.
That's it, Ramey?
So
Dang.
Brian,
That's
I mean, I wish. Well,
That's-
no, I'll go. And then I guess
you go,
can,
and then I'll jump in. Yeah,
you can
because
back it up.
It's,
So
Nice
for the
jacket.
video,
it's a
if we
1-2
do
punch.
see this video, walking, John gave me this sweet Star-Lord jacket that I've been modifying, trying to make
Sick
it a little bit
jacket.
more. It's all crinkly.
pattern
I
looks
keep
so
hearing all
nice.
this like noisy. Yeah, I made a stencil for it and put it on there because believe it or not, he had like a pattern all over it, and the jacket wasn't the right color too. It was like a little bit more brown, so I like did it burgundy, and then I did this little pattern, and then got that on there, and then I've just finished up these bad boys,
look at those blasters, dude.
the dual blasters.
Pew, pew.
And I picked these up off Etsy. They're 3D printed, but the maker, and he had a very challenging name. I'll look it up and try to figure it out. But he printed them by color, so technically you didn't need to paint it. But of course, I'm going to paint it. But they were not expensive at all. Very nicely priced.
Was it a kit or was it like an all-in-one?
It was a kit. It was a kit that was like, I've never seen prints. I think maybe I've just been printing with a big nozzle for so long. Not as big as Ramey's nozzle, but like a big nozzle that
Fair.
I'm not used to that fine detail, but like the detail on these things was like, there's like no work needed to them. It was
that was like
crazy.
Steven's. That's like Steven's kits that he used to make. Super
Yeah, but
good.
on Etsy, he's 42 Labs 3D. So interesting. I don't know, but amazing.
I'm just
kit.
saying you can do a lot with a small nozzle. It's
Yeah,
about
you can. It's how
fine
you work
detail work.
Yeah. How's your
lot of-
settings?
I mean, you guys are saying it right here. You guys like the small nozzles. So.
Yeah,
All about the settings? Is it all about the
it
mood?
is the settings. It got to be good.
Gonna be in the mood.
But and then I picked up this Hasbro helmet for really cheap, and I couldn't leave it alone because the gap was so dang big in the back that I cut it off and fixed it all up and made it fit tighter to my head. So I've been working on that. This is fun. This was a little project that Ramey instigated because he may not be your father, boy, but he ain't your daddy. So
So on that note,
Mary
so
Poppins,
a little extra detail. So this started as essentially like most of our costume builds. This started as sort of a challenge or a dare. Somewhere similar to this and intertwined with our attendance at Dragon Con. So earlier on in the year, somewhere along the way, Brian and I made a pact that if one of us went to Dragon Con, the other one would. And then in the meantime, we sort of wrapped around this idea of if Brian does Star-Lord, I'll do Yondu. So
Mary Poppins, y'all.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah. So I've got the, I think I posted on my story a while back in response to a post that Brian did, but I'll do something else now that we're talking about it again. I've got the fin, the volume, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 fin, the big tall one. I've got that printed out. It fits my head perfectly. I have, even though I'm not at home, so I don't have a lot to show in person here, but I've got the contact lenses because his eyes are actually red.
Sweet.
So I've got the contact lenses here. I figured out what his
teeth are
teeth
jacked
need to
up.
look
I was gonna
like.
say, those
His
things
teeth
are
are jacked up.
Messed
Like
up.
one of the teeth has like, I don't know, like a zebra print on it or something janky. And then the other ones are all crooked. So I got to figure out how. I haven't entirely solutioned the teeth situation yet, so we'll figure that out. But we've got a source for the soft goods, the jacket, all that. We've figured out. We know exactly what kind of makeup and the color code that was used on production, so we can match the makeup perfectly.
I'll have my airbrush, dude.
When's
Yep, so
when is the event? When's When is it?
Dragon
The con.
Con is the first week of September, I believe.
Yeah, it starts in like the last day of August and rolls into September.
We
Yeah, I
have
think so.
time then to put it together.
We do.
Oh yeah,
and
it's the
but-
31st to the 3rd, Labor Day weekend.
Are we all
but we're
going?
gonna.
I'm not.
That's.
I mean, we've been talking about it forever.
You're
so
not.
if you can come.
Yes,
If you
yes,
can
John,
come.
you're going.
I'm trying
Going.
to figure out who is.
Luke-
Yeah.
Luke's
All of
trying
us
to
but
come.
Joe?
Joe,
I know Joe.
John,
Luke will be there.
you bought your ticket already.
Yeah,
I think that
have
might be
the
true, yeah.
whole 2 or 3 days, whatever it is.
And I was in Atlanta last week for work, and I was doing a little bit of scouting. So I talked to friends that live there. They understand kind of the flow of traffic and people moving around the city during during Dragon Con. We do not have to stay immediately in that area. We can stay farther out where it's cheaper. Take the train in. I got this figured out. We got a plan.
I have a hotel, but it is stupid expensive. And
Yeah,
I would
no,
like
we're gonna
to,
change-
I
we're
would
gonna
like to
change that.
ditch
We're gonna-
it if possible.
We're gonna move
so-
far. We're gonna move farther out, and we'll just
Okay.
have a strategy for getting in and out each
Good
day.
call.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll have a car too, but
And that's the
'cause we're gonna
con where
drive.
it's mostly like a hangout in between hotels, right?
It's 4 hotels.
Yeah.
So there's a parade.
Isn't
it's
it just like
mostly
a
partying?
It's like a party, right? It's like
It's a big
party
party,
con,
yeah.
like,
Like
wasted con, pool
4
party con.
hotels, but there's like a big
Right.
parade and stuff too. So
Right.
there is other stuff than
Okay.
just
But
partying.
I'm you know what I've never had like alcohol at a convention, not even like afterwards. Like usually like after a
John.
con I just leave.
we
For
we
real?
had- we had John. We had beers at
hold on,
Celebration, dude.
Except with you guys when we did Celebration. Okay, chill. I'm
Got
just
it,
saying
got it,
like
got it.
when I go to a convention like here locally, like San Diego or San Diego, I guess. Shoot.
Yep, every con. John.
Okay, like LA and things in Anaheim. I usually don't drink. Like I don't, I just don't.
Only cons
So
in
it
Utah.
would be
I don't
kinda
drink
cool.
or do anything.
Yeah, low
Yeah.
alcohol content.
Yeah.
It's gonna be super
Whatever.
cool.
Might be neat.
I'm psyched. This started with Raimi going, "If you do Star Lord, I'll do Yondu," and then John's
guys
like,
gotta-
"Here's a
You guys
sweet
got to
leather
schedule.
jacket."
You need to schedule time with Ryloth or one of those photographers if they go down.
100%.
Oh, for sure.
100%. I'm
Oh,
trying
for
to
sure.
get- She don't ever watch, so, here.
So John, now you got to find something from Guardians of the Galaxy to do.
I
I
busted
was
out the whole
just
thing.
thinking,
and
like, is there a way to do a Groot?
I busted
I
out
just-
the whole thing, and
That's hard, dude. Too hard.
I showed Tori, and I was like, "Hey, can I paint you green? Make her Gamora." She was
foam.
like, "Absolutely not." But and then I was like, "How about Star Lord's girlfriend?" And I got her the shirt.
Nice
Team shirt.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's the shirt, which
preemptively.
was the shirt he was wearing when his mom died.
Yeah, that's the shirt that when
Which
he
is-
was abducted that he had on, and then the girlfriend's wearing it in the beginning of
Dang.
Volume 1.
Yep. So
Dang.
Barit is her name. So I got that in the back pocket. Tried to get Tori.
Barit.
Can I paint you
Burrito.
purple? So that's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Star Lord.
John, you should do Drax.
Shave his head.
Just go Rocket, dude. Just Rocket. I'm psyched on it.
You know what?
I'm
That's the
hyped on
actually
Guardians.
now that I think about that, that would be really cool because you guys are doing those characters. That would really be cool to do a custom Ravenger.
Oh man, it would.
I mean, dude, it does.
That would be cool.
Yeah. You could just buy like
Leather
Star
jacket.
Wars suits
Yeah.
and just mod them.
Yeah,
Star-Lord
which
jacket
are easily
and mod
available.
it.
So's
Yeah.
Kragans. Yeah, and then just
Yeah.
mod it. Just punk it up, dude. Like Kraglin? Kraglin, that's his name.
Like if you
His
wanted
suit's
to be
available,
an
too.
alien Ravenger, you could even just make your own.
Easy. Your
Dude.
bit
There you go,
that,
John. Do a Bith Ravenger.
Oh,
A Star
Dude.
Wars Marvel mashup.
Oh,
Hey, why not?
John, do Taserface.
I don't know.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. Taserface.
Taserface.
Taserface. Rocket cracking up. God, John, go see Guardians 3, please. Come on.
all right. Anybody else on Workbench?
So real quick update. Got the local clan sort of eyes on Kim's Mando kit and got some thumbs up after some adjustments. So now it's going up to the bigger mercs. We'll have to wait for that approval process, but it's a process. So I just want to put out encouragement for those that are maybe thinking about joining a group, one of the clubs. Just take the advice the best way you can. Just try to work away at it, chip away at it, take new photos, and then just do it. It might not go as fast as you want, but it's okay. Eventually, you're going to be in the club, and it'll be fun. So that's it. That's all the update I have. So we just took photos a couple of days ago and got the thumbs up for the initial pre-approval, and now we should be almost there.
Sometimes little Photoshop.
I don't Photoshop, man.
No.
I thought of something else to add, and you talking about Kim's Mando made me think of it. So I did the poll.
Oh yeah.
Since last week, I did the poll for narrowing in on the color scheme around my Let's Build a Mando project, right? So, and purple won the vote. So purple will be the predominant color used on my armor. So we'll see. I'm going to put together multiple palettes, and people will get to vote amongst those, and that'll kind of dictate like flight suit versus armor and like an accent color and things like that. So we'll see how it comes out, but I might be having to pick your brain, because if I land on a color scheme that's in kind of the family of what Kim's got, it might make sense to try and line up with that.
Dude,
you know what's funny is that
dude.
you made my emblem, I guess, for my belt buckle, which Kim is also using.
I saw that.
I had to explain that when I submitted it, because it's part of the story, part of the lore for these.
There's a story
background for these custom Mandos, but basically these Mandos, and Emily, she's watching now. She helped with some of that story too, flesh out the story. But yeah, so it's kind of cool how it's going full circle with this whole purple thing. And then John, your boys that worked on the show, I don't know if I can mention their names, but they said they weren't allowed to use purple. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
They weren't allowed to use purple for any of the custom Mandos or the Mandos that you see on the show. And so, Raimi, I don't know.
Maybe it was too dark.
No, there's a reason for that, because that's part of the Death Watch color scheme.
That's what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Purple and blue.
There were probably some shades of blue that they had to stay away from to not conflict with the Night Owls too. That way they were different. Like that way,
factions. Yeah.
Those sequences and those color palettes.
There was enough contrast.
Yeah, there were, because they wanted the groups to look like defined clans. So between the Night Owls, the Death Watch, and so on.
Dude, that's pure Dad Batch Pod content right there, bro. That was awesome. Good stuff.
There was something too, Raimi. I don't think we talked about this on the podcast, but when I built these blasters, the handles on these are carbon fiber.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I wanted to get this look, and I think this is a good thing just to talk about Workbench, right? We always talk about things like hydro dipping. People have seen it. I've seen it on YouTube, on Instagram, and always been like, whoa, that's like really cool. But I had no idea or concept of how it works. I just looked it up on YouTube how to do it. It's literally a film that you set on top of water and spray an activator on it, and you dip the piece into it. I found a bunch of how-tos on YouTube, bought the stuff on Amazon. It was $25 and hydro dipped the handles, and it came out good enough that I needed to get this crazy carbon fiber texture that you wouldn't, I don't even know how you would make it happen. And I just Googled it, YouTube, bought the stuff, and now I have carbon fiber handles. And I know Raimi went and did wood grain on some blasters.
Yep. And same process you described. It came out great.
Yeah.
Super happy with the results.
Hydro dipping, man.
Can you explain to me what hydro dipping is? Because it sounds like water.
Okay. So it's this film, and it comes in a sheet, and it's sort of transparent, but sort of not like, and it's got the pattern digitally printed onto this film. And so you literally fill like a tub up with water. And mine specifically wanted cold water. I don't know if yours specified, Brian, but mine wanted cold.
Didn't say. Use warm to rinse it off.
You lay the film on that, wait 1 minute, and then there's a can of aerosol spray that you spray on top of that. And what does is it kind of activates everything. And the plastic part of the film just is gone by then. And it's literally, at that point, it's literally pixels of ink floating on the water. And when you dip something down into it, that adheres to what you dip into it. And so you dip the piece all the way in, kind of shake it around underwater to get the film that's on the top to like kind of scatter away. And when you pull that part out, it is painted with the pattern that had previously been floating on the top of the water. It's crazy.
That's rad.
I have an idea.
So
That's how John's going to be Drax. You're going to put that stuff on a tub.
in the bathtub.
He's gonna come up out of the
No, in
tub.
the pool. Yeah.
And then we
And
lay him down all kind of like baptism style.
You
And
gotta
then
do
we
two
pull him out,
sides,
he's
though.
fun.
Be wrapped
So,
in blue or whatever his
awesome.
skin looks like.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go,
It's
John.
There it
really,
is.
it's really, I was always fascinated by it and never understood how it worked until I looked it up. And
It's gonna-
honestly, the hardest part about it's there's like time, right? It's like when you have to lay the film
It's
on
like
the water a
gray or
certain way
something.
because no water can get on top of it. That's really like the only like major, that and time, because once you lay it down on the water, you only have a certain amount of time to get the activator on it and then dip your piece
Did
into
you get it the
But-
first time, or did you have to like do it again?
Right.
Or
The first one I did came out a little wonky in the picture you
can't
guys are looking
tell.
at, but most people won't see it. But yeah, it's like in the middle, you can see some parts that are clumping, and that was honestly more because I rinsed it for too long under hot water, so it just kind of washed it off. Because what you do is after it's dry, you pull the part out, you rinse it off with warm water, all the clumps and stuff come off of it, and then you let it dry, and then you clear coat over it. So matte, gloss,
so
however you want it to look. So I just did a matte, and then it's on there. It's not coming off. It's gone.
dude,
But
they look
I
sick, man.
did the first time, I will say, I put the film upside down. Because the film, you have to lay the film in one way, and I put it on upside down. Because I did it, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you're just poking at it, like
Yeah,
the
I was just
stick?
poking at it. But the film is cheap. The film, I mean, you buy like a big long roll of it. But hydro dipping, super cool. If anyone has any kind of texture, literally just YouTube how to do it. It's not expensive. I think the can is the most expensive part. Then you can just buy films for $20 of whatever you want. They have patterns galore. So
Yep.
Raimi did wood grain, and it came out. It looks like wood.
Yeah, and I did wood grain on top of two different colors of paint. So the first one was black, and so it came out a darker wood grain, and then the other one was sort of an ivory, and it came out super bleached out white, but it was still wood grain. So it looked like two different kinds of wood, just because the paint underneath it was two different shades.
Because it's transparent. It has a
It's
transparency
just
to
really
it.
it's really just the grain
Yep.
that's going on. So it's going to pick up the color that was underneath. So
Which
if
was
anybody
cool.
that goes back and looks at my Denizen post that I had where it's like the pants are laying there and like the two blasters are sort of on there, and like there's a picture of the blaster handles, you can see the two colors.
Which was cool because this carbon fiber, the guy had printed the handles out of a metallic filament, like a almost black but purple filament. So it was shiny. So the carbon fiber is on top of this like shiny filament. It's really, really cool. Hydro dipping.
Dude, guys, we're adding new techniques to our repertoire.
Tools.
We've got hydro dipping. We've got John doing latex
Slushing and
painting.
gushing.
Man, this is awesome.
That's the hobby. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and it's like we've been doing this for years, but we're literally now in 2023 adding new techniques.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
That's awesome. Hey, Raimi.
Hey, Steven.
We're being hailed.
This encryption's new. This might take a while.
So, Raimi, before you start the news, I want to ask you
Okay.
best or favorite memory or example of fatherhood in your life.
Of me being a dad or of my experience with my dad?
Could be any. Could be either. Could be both. It's up to you, man.
Oh, man. Okay.
Could be
so
like Indiana Jones and his dad. Like how cool you thought that was. I mean,
as I've talked about before, I've always loved airplanes and kind of space and wanted to be an astronaut when I was a little kid and everything. And my dad was very encouraging. And my dad actually had a private pilot's license, although he never took me up in a plane, which I don't know. I don't remember why. He's been gone for about 15 years now. So I'd love to go back and ask him about that. But when I was little, anytime there was an air show, So at the Air Force bases, they bring all the planes out, and you can go see them. And sometimes the space shuttle's there, whatever. Like anytime there was one at Edwards Air Force Base or at the Air Force bases out, which is the big one in Southern California, or at any of the bases, we would go. And it was the kind of thing where it's like you got to be there at like 7 a.m. when they open the gate, and so it was always like he'd get me up in the middle of the night, and it'd be dark, and I'd sleep in the back of the car on the drive, and of course, like he never would go. My dad didn't take the freeway anywhere to save his life. Like it was somehow he knew how to get from here to San Francisco on surface streets. It was mind numbing at the time, although it was kind of endearing now that I look back at it. And we'd get there and we'd go to the air show, and you get to snow cone and it melts on you, and like there's the kind of the normal things that happen at an event like that. But it's just this culmination of all those memories of that. And so now we fairly often get opportunities to do air show related events with the 501st, whether it's El Centro down in Joe's neck of the woods or at some of the Air Force bases out by us. And I love going to those because it brings me back. Like as I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there in a costume, but I'm walking around and I'm looking at these airplanes. I'm thinking, man, I'm like, how cool is it that I'm like dressed as a stormtrooper and I get to hang out with like the Blue Angels or whatever. But it's like, at the same time in the back of my head, I'm remembering back to those events with my dad. So
that's awesome. What?
That's awesome.
Are we going around a circle?
Our first troop together was at an air show.
Was it the March one?
Yeah.
That was Terry's first troop too,
Yeah,
where she
yeah.
came
Oh,
riding in on the back of the golf court in her stormtrooper suit, standing on the back.
I don't know if it was just eagerness or naivete, but that was my first troop ever, and I did all 3 shifts. And I just stood there. I just stood there all day.
Gosh.
What were you wearing?
Scout, biker scout.
Bikers.
I literally stood there all day and didn't move.
A million hours.
Yeah. Well, that's because you were basically a block of wood by the time you sweat everything out of you after the first shift. You were stuck.
That's awesome, man. I'm gonna make it a point now to go to every air show that you go to. That's cool.
We will go. Let's do it.
Air show troops are fun.
Ouch.
They are. Okay. News, right? So, okay. They're not necessarily pointing at the strike as the reason. However, Disney has released their film lineup calendars for the next several years. And we've already got one time shift for the Star Wars films that had previously been announced. So the original date for the first of the 3 films was sometime in December of 2025. And that was going to be the new Jedi Order film, the Rey film. And that film has now been pushed to, I think it's the 22nd of May of 26. But what that means is in 2026, we're getting 2 films because they didn't push the other 2 films out. So we've got Filoni's Heir to the Empire in December of 26. And then we've got the Mangold Dawn of the Jedi film in December of 27. So we originally had December of 25, 26, 27, 3 years in a row, all in December. Now that first one got pushed out to May, and the other 2 have stayed put for the time being. So,
shifts.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
Now,
expected, though. I mean, it's kind of expected, I think, right? I don't know.
They moved some Marvel stuff around too, right?
they did. They did.
Pulled Deadpool up. When did they ever pull stuff up? That was a little wild. It was like 3 months or something.
Because it's already in post production, I think.
A year,
Yeah.
right?
So they're moving
Do you
that
think
up
they're
because that's all
pulling
they
things
got.
They're pulling things up because they need something constantly trickling out, right? And there's nothing right now, so
Yeah, and I'm not
It's
100%
done,
sure
yeah.
that they're done with that because I do know that as recent
since
as
the writer
a
strike's
few weeks
going
ago,
on.
they were still casting for some smaller parts. So I think that there's still some bits and pieces being ironed out on that one. And those, because of the timing of that might not even be able to get filmed right now.
I know that
because of the strike.
I know they're pushing the Avengers movies, like they're pushing those out 2 years. So it's
Yeah.
like 2027 or something that we're getting that.
Yep. Okay. A lot of video game news this week, and that's honestly pretty much the bulk of the rest of what we've got. And I'll start with some of the smaller stuff before we get into Star Wars Outlaws, which is where it's all at. So a little bit of news. So the the director for the old Star Wars 1313 game. So if you remember several years ago, and there was a point in time where this was also referred to as Underworld. And I think this game was the and this is where like some of the concept Boba Fett artwork, where he's got sort of a soft goods vest, and like there's some really good Boba designs that came out of the game art for this 1313 game, which again was also intertwined with the word Underworld. The director for that, Dominic Robillard, he is now working on a new Star Wars game. So Amy Hennig's Star Wars game, and I'm sorry, I don't have my notes entirely organized on this. So he's joining Skydance New Media as their game director to help work on both Star Wars and Marvel projects. Now, we don't know a lot about what this game entails, but again, there is some movement here at the executive level within the game studios for the purpose of focusing on some Star Wars games. So we'll see where that one goes.
Nice.
And then this next one, and I'm going to need help from everybody on this because there has been a ton of media and I have not been able to keep up with all of it. But we have seen both cinematic trailers as well as gameplay now for Star Wars Outlaws. Ooh. So this is the big open world game. So here in my notes. So we got in a press release that was put out shortly after the announcement, we learned that the Outlaws is set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in the timeline. As players, you're controlling a character named Kay Vess, who, along with her friend, Kay Vess is voiced by Humberly Gonzalez, and her friend Nix, who's a little creature voiced by our good friend D. Bradley Baker, along with a what I assume is a reconfigured commando droid, ND5, voiced by Jay Rincon. You're playing as those characters in an attempt, and you will attempt one of the greatest heists the Outer Rim has ever seen. So, and the press release touts the game as the first open world Star Wars game, with Lucasfilm Games VP Doug Riley noting that Star Wars Outlaws will be an action adventure story filled with characters and planets both new and well known to the Star Wars galaxy. So, and again, we've got both cinematic and gameplay footage from this. So with that, I'm going to kind of leave it. I know I'm not the only one that's followed along with some of these releases, and you guys probably have some things to add. So I will let
take bikes and times. Cars and yeah.
At least that's what I hear. The Empire? They're everywhere.
That's cool.
Oh, wow.
The world here belongs to the syndicates.
We get the Pikes.
Fudge?
If I want to survive, I have to play their game. Looks like I'm all in.
Mm-hmm. Cantina.
She's in here somewhere.
On second thought, I'm out.
There she is.
Mando vibes.
I've been held back my whole life. And now, I just need a chance to finally be free. Wherever that takes me.
I'm here to offer you a way out, okay?
Get off my ship, Jalen.
Give me a chance. You're gonna have to trust me. It'll be dangerous, risky. But if you pull this off, you'll never look over your shoulder again.
The underworld shows no mercy. But it's a big galaxy out there. and I'm gonna risk it all.
Star Wars Outlaws coming
Wow.
2024.
If you took the humans out of it, it looks like the movie. It looks like the show. Like when you see all the aliens and everything, I was like, I thought it was
John,
real.
John
when
could
it
do.
first
John
started.
can be that one. John can be that one. John can be that one.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy, and that's all the story, right? So like, perfect.
Yeah.
I can just YouTube
Was
that.
that
and
Han
watch the
Solo
whole
and
story.
Carbonite?
It was.
Yeah.
He's
I was
in
like,
Carbonite at that point in
1,
time
2, 3.
because the game is set
I was
between those two
kinda well
films.
in
And you see Jabba
okay.
on his
Got it.
little
Looks
barge
good.
that's kind of floating, not barge, but his little throne. Yeah. That looks so good.
Oh,
Yeah,
whoa.
and we see the Pikes. They seem to play a fairly heavy role, and they
It's
mention
between the
Underworld.
two
in
movies,
Underworld's
the
going to
kids.
be the main focus, I think, for this entire game.
It's my jam.
Yeah, totally.
Well, when she stepped on the ship, I thought that was Han's voice. I thought that was Harrison Ford's voice. But then he
It's
turned
got
around
like
and
young
it's this other, I
Han
don't know who
Solo
the other character
vibes,
is,
but
Jalen.
with a female protagonist,
Jalen.
right? A little bit. You know?
typical
Maybe.
scoundrel, typical kind of.
But like she's gambling, and then like there's like people after her, and then
I
she
love
has
it.
to run out, and she gets on the
I
bike.
could totally tell
and,
that was D.
You
That
know,
was D
takes
Baker.
out, you know, I don't know.
Totally.
Gave me like Han Solo
all those
vibes. Yeah. No, it's not
all
a bad
those little
thing.
sounds.
Like, I'm just
halfway
describing
between Perry the Platypus and Eagly, somewhere in there.
what I got.
Yeah,
which are both him.
and Tauntaun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Wow.
gonna.
Yeah.
I think we were all gonna do it. They were like,
we were all
nah.
because we would not do it justice. So yeah, and that is it for the news.
Why did you make me do this?
Guess you have a choice. You want a war? Or do you want to just give me a gun?
My father, he go toilet on my hands.
Oh my God.
Urine is
Oh my
35 degrees Celsius, staves off the frostbite.
How is this relevant?
You know, fathers.
Day. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
All
there.
right, John. Before you start your hard drive here, question for you, man. What is your best or favorite memory or example of fatherhood in your life?
Well, I didn't grow up with my dad too much, so I feel like there might have been moments in my life where having a fatherly figure would have like I would have benefited from it greatly if I had that type of role model in my life in those certain moments. But I try to basically be there for my daughter the way my dad might not have been there for me. And it's mostly just being present, really. Just always, you know, every time I feel bad for my wife because every time it comes up in a way where she has to decide, like, to go with someone, and we don't. And I tell her, I'm like, don't make her decide. Like, don't ask her who do you like better, who do you prefer. Don't do that. Like, you know. But
Yeah, what'd you
sometimes
say?
the decision comes up, and she always kind of comes with me, and that's it. Not always, but most of the time. But I'm like, damn, my wife might come in. No, but
Oh,
like, shoot, is she here? Is she listening? Yeah. No, but I just feel like I owe her everything that I was denied, essentially, and I don't want her to be without that. So that's what I feel is most important to me.
Number
Thank you for
one,
sharing that.
yeah,
That's
man.
not easy to share, but thank you for sharing that.
Number one
for
space
me
puppy.
to transfer over to her, you know, just to
Number
be there
one
for her
space
and
Puppy
and,
Darth Vader.
yeah.
You know what? That's a good point,
Yeah,
though.
that's basically it.
That's a good point. Just real quick, I think Father's Day and some of these holidays, Mother's Day, Christmas, whatever,
Thanks, yeah.
are not great days for certain
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And so I think, John,
She's
that's
probably
just a
gonna
great
run in at any
example of
moment.
you learning and moving forward in a positive way. And Amy's going to be incredible for it. So that's awesome, dude. So just want to put that out. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. But yeah. But otherwise,
That's it.
I think we don't have a film to talk about otherwise, other than the Visions season 2, episode 6, right? We don't have anything else, right? Just making sure. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, I got to figure something out eventually for the hard drive, but anyway, okay. So Vision season 2, episode 6. This episode is called "The Spy Dancer." It is 19 minutes long. And the synopsis is: the premier dancer at an imperial frequented cabaret is tested when her identity is compromised.
Nice.
So
Nice
off
connection.
the bat, this
Totally.
episode
Yep.
gives me heavy Inglorious Bastard vibes.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
right? Because it's all basically, I don't know if it's a Nazi thing, a Nazi vibe, but there's a lot of Imperials that go to this place the same way you would connect, the same way you saw in Inglourious Basterds. And not only that, this is a French, I think it's a French studio. So the accents are French, which the studio was owned by the theater was owned by a French woman in Inglourious Basterds. I don't know how that connects. It connects somehow. And basically, yeah, the identity.
Dude, you mentioned that last week, and that's the only thing that was in my brain the whole time watching the show. And it felt familiar the whole time. Right away, I just couldn't put my finger on it.
I was like, oh,
and now that you said that, I'm like, dude, yeah, totally.
But yeah. Right.
Yeah. Put them all in the theater, and
because they're just basically fooling the
Fish in a barrel.
Imperials the same way, not the same way, but very closely the way they were doing it in that film, and that's the vibe I got from it.
Compared to last week, I think that this was
it didn't end.
The action was good, the story was good. Everything was well thought out, well paced. I love the little twist at the end.
Steven, what do you think? Yeah, right.
And I so I guess this is something that a trend for me is that I like when these short stories that we're getting in Visions leave you not so much with like a cliffhanger, but a jumping off point to where if these studios come back for like Vision season 3 or something, they can continue that story. And I like that because, we got that with episodes last season, which I'm still begging for continuations of. And we got that a little bit. Right. But yeah, man, dude, now that you mentioned Inglourious Basterds, it's like, yeah, it all connects. It was good. I was going to
say, I'm surprised we haven't gotten that yet. Too much.
The animation drew me in. The animation drew me in like right away.
It's like spot on. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't even think of that
Brian?
Inglorious.
I didn't either.
Reference.
That's such a good.
That's really cool.
That's a deep cut, bro.
Yeah,
for sure.
The wrecker-sized stormtrooper, I was more of trying to figure out that like the whole time because with like that guy and the other guy had like poop on him or mud or whatever was on him. Like they had brown.
It
stuff
might have
on
been
him.
a coincidence,
but it was funny how the one stormtrooper was like wrecker-sized. So it made me. I was more focused in on that and how they took their helmets off. I wasn't even paying attention to what was going on. That they were like at a theater at like an Imperial.
Did that not look identical to Blake, Clone to Snug?
Yes, totally.
Right?
Totally looked like Blake
with everything. I was like, wow.
Yeah. But when they took their helmets off, I was like immediately like, oh, so these guys maybe aren't stormtroopers. So like I'm thinking of all that while like probably important parts of the story are happening. because I'm just like, why are their helmets off? What's going on? Why is she all over these guys? But man, the twist at the end too was
you went that route.
super cool. The dancer, and
You're
it wasn't
off
her daughter,
duty.
right? It was just her friend, the dancer.
I don't know.
The other dancer.
Was that
Whatever.
clear?
They were like,
It seemed like, right?
yeah,
It
they
seemed
were like
close. Yeah.
super BA. Like they were so rad, man. The super artistic scenes with the dress and the ribbons and
It was
everything
like a family
flying
member
around,
or
man.
something, because they
That
had the
was so
same eyes
cool.
too.
I loved it. It was the design was super cool. What a great, the family and I just watched it like right before we started recording, and Tori was like, that was my favorite episode. Like that was really, really cool. So it was a thumbs up in this household.
I guess the only thing missing was now that I'm thinking about it, John, is nobody said Gorlami, and sorry, Inglourious Bastards reference, but
Right on, Joe.
Gorlami.
What we do here is kill Nazis.
I need my scalps.
Yeah, no Italian.
I loved it too. Animation was
intergalactic
great. I love
Italians
seeing
in
stormtroopers,
that
and it was
theater.
cool to see them on R&R. It's kind of like when the clones go to the bar
One
and
more
they're
time?
kind of on,
Gorlami.
in the club, kind of relaxing.
Yeah.
And then it's always cool to see other new characters with sort of like this Jedi, ability or, Force ability. But it was like in dance with ribbons. It's kind of like watching Cirque du Soleil kind of thing, which is really cool. So, yeah. If you guys ever go to Vegas or you're able to see a Cirque du Soleil, like it's kind of like that. It's really cool.
That's what I wanted to say. It reminded me of watching Ka. We went and saw Ka in Vegas.
Amazing, right?
Yeah,
That's one of those shows.
Amazing.
And
that's what it was like. It was like watching a show. Yeah.
People flying around over the audience. And I really, really enjoyed this one. It was up there. It's good.
For your information, the stinger of a Yalvik queen is a delicacy on some planets.
Best or favorite memory or example of fatherhood in your life?
Ooh, dude, I got a good one for the ages. And there's no way you could. I say the Force was involved in this one. So the birth of your children is a special moment. And I kind of mentioned it to you guys when we were talking about Father's Day, that I wasn't there for my second son's birth. He was 4 months old when I first saw him, right? That's just from being in the military, being deployed. It happens, unfortunately, just you're not home for special, incredible events. And it completely sucks. And it makes you feel like throwing up that you missed those opportunities. But this is a really cool story. And I'm not kidding you. This is exactly what happened. So at the time, I knew Kim was pregnant. She was in Texas. I was deployed. And I'm in the middle of nowhere. But I know it's around the right time for her to give birth. So I'm checking my email constantly. I wake up. I'm on a different time zone, obviously. And I check my unclassified email. And there's an email from Kim saying, my water broke. I'm on my way to the hospital. Here's the phone number. I'm like, oh, crap. And I'm counting the hours. And I'm like, I think I missed the birth. Like, I'm really feeling this regret, all these emotions, right? So I asked my boss, I need a phone like ASAP. And he's like, okay, cool. So quickly get a phone. I'm not kidding. I called the number. Mr. Lara, yes, we were expecting you. Let me patch you into her room number. My sister answers the phone. Joe? Oh my gosh, here's Kim. She says, baby? Then I hear the nurse say, get ready to push. Ready? And so at the same time, I'm counting in this other part of the world, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, Kim, breathe. And so we do this. I'm not kidding. We do this for like 30 minutes. And then, wow. Oh my gosh. Like, dude, you can't write that. Chat GPT could not write that story like that.
Well, now they can.
now they can.
Yeah.
Well, because it's part of the algorithm. But no, like, dude. And so I was like, Kim, because she was obviously exhausted. She had been in labor for so long, and I was like smiling, like, Kim, you need to like rest. Let's
Put it
put
in
the
the
phone. She's
prompt.
like, no,
Yeah.
don't hang up. Like, do not hang up. I'm like, okay. So I'm like on the phone, and we're just kind of just catching up. And I hadn't spoken to her in a while because I mean, it's just
I could see Kim being like that too. Like, no, stay on.
yeah. And then after like 30 minutes, she was like getting tired and whatever. And they're like, hey, the nurses were saying you should probably hang up. So we hung up. Dude, talk about like, it sucked to not be there, but that was so special. Like that. I mean, dude. I
Yeah.
was there. Absolutely. Yeah. That's my special story.
That's amazing, man.
That's awesome.
I got a little choked up on that one.
That's so rad. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
You were
I
still
shared
there.
that story too much, so now the freaking world knows. But that's okay.
Dude. And
We
that
love our
was
listeners.
like 30 years ago, right? It was,
No, he's 20. That's Austin.
that was before cell
I
phones
was gonna say if
were
that was
invented,
Austin or Brandon. Yeah.
That was So it was a Morse code connection, is what we had. No,
It's very sweet.
Kim's
No,
more.
yeah.
She's like,
Pony
Push.
Express.
dude, imagine nowadays there's FaceTime. That's crazy.
Yeah, my last deployment, we had FaceTime calls, and so
Yeah.
I was able to look at my kids.
You can hologram yourself
That
in
was
there now,
crazy,
dude.
but whatever. Say bye to your kid.
You could be like a hologram. Push.
Yeah. Put yourself there, right?
Okay, Joe, Q&A.
Oh yeah, focus.
Yeah, you put your hand.
Focus.
It's
coming. Focus, Joe.
Get out of here.
Focus.
It's 11 o'clock.
Okay, so we got
Here it is.
we got this awesome
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
question
whoa, whoa,
from Kira. Love Kira Machado. She hit me up, and we've answered questions kind of similar, but this is different. This is regarding building. Biggest regret or mistake you've made since you've been making costumes and props, and how did you overcome it? Ooh, you guys are looking at the ceiling because that's where all the answers are at.
I think I'm just gonna say, not a problem, but a thing that I overcame was instead of buying finished
and that's problem solving.
items,
That's
I learned how
problem
to
solving,
paint them
right? Like,
and make them myself.
Google is your friend,
which I guess is the entire point of making the prop, right? Well, that's how it started, though. For example,
is it safe
like
to
a
say that there's a
lightsaber,
bunch of problems and you just kind of figure out how to overcome them?
I don't
Money
know.
and
Yeah,
time.
it's
That's
just
usually the two.
Well, there's like
I
there's
can't
like
think of
stupid
a
mistakes that
big
I've made
problem
where I
that
was
I-
just like most recently was London when I was printing I was printing
There's always
the Wrecker
obstacles. Yeah.
season 2 leather Under Armour, his first layer of armor. I was printing it
on the plane.
No,
Yeah, right.
But like I had everything timed out in my head because we were on such of a con crunch that I was like, all right, I can get this entire kit printed and painted and everything, a day before I have to leave, which I technically did. But then I put it on and I forgot to size it to me. I printed the files at 100%. I should have stuck it to like 105, 106%. So when I put on the chest plate, it was just a little too small. It's like wearing a size medium when you should have it was like a schmedium when you should have had the large. Yeah. And that was just complete oversight on my part. Like I missed one of the most crucial steps, like when it comes to 3D printing.
Is a schmedium.
Scaling.
Do you use Armor Smith? You don't use Armor Smith, do you?
Oh no, I use. Let me show you guys because I found these.
So real quick, Armor Smith is not accurate. It's a tool to help you get close.
But you
I just
were
want to put that out there. Don't
rushed.
rely
And
on
it only
Armor
works
Smith
on
as a
PCs.
tool. And it only works on PCs. Yeah, it's just a reference, and don't.
Speaking
yeah,
of.
there's a way to use it and a way not to use it. So be careful with it.
Here it is.
It's like a
Here it
good
is.
reference, right?
Oh, you found
I
it?
found it. These I've talked about these on the
Oh.
show before.
I
These are
have
called
those.
cosplay calipers.
Cosplay calipers.
So what you do is you just
Or Moon Knight, the god.
Cool.
It's Khonshu.
so
Even
Yeah.
so you
measuring
put-
your head.
Mark it.
Oh, the
you can
cosplay
measure your
calipers,
head,
right?
your ear tip to ear tip,
And then you
and
measure.
then
it.
you measure the distance on this. Yes, you
What do you measure with
measure
that?
tip to tip,
John. Yep. Tip
and
to
then
tip.
and then you
How
can
about
find
do
out.
that?
You can
Oh.
find
Right.
out how big.
Measure the dark side of that head.
Tip to tip.
I'm done. I'm done. Go ahead. Next.
Caliper.
Cool.
Got it. Issues. Okay, so back to the question. Issues, problems.
You got
Measure
it
twice,
already.
print once.
That's a good tip. And I know it's a cliche sometimes, and it
tip,
just kind of goes in
tip,
one ear,
tip.
out the other,
Got it.
but it's founded on experience.
So I've got one kit. So you guys all have
It's
various pieces of armor
It's true.
from Jim Trapon, so Jamiroquai, right? Like the
Untrue.
fiberglass armor,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I know so I have one kit. I have a Praetorian Guard that's the same kind of material. Not a fan. I don't know that I would ever do another kit that was using that fiberglass material again.
Yes.
Was not a fan of working with it when I had to build something with
That's
it, and I know that hundreds of other people have happily made kits out of that. This is a personal thing. I am not happy with the results that I got out of that. And I think what it really speaks to is like there's a certain amount of knowledge that you have to have in order to properly finish and work with any given material. Working with that fiberglass was not something that I was familiar with, and I was not happy with the results of the one kit that I made using it. And I didn't have at the time, I didn't have access to the resources that I do now to kind of suss that out and understand it. So again, it goes back to kind of understanding the material that you're working with and making sure that you're making the right choices as far as finishing process and paint and whatever it is that you're adding to it, so that it actually kind of all works together. John's itching to say something. What is it?
I also think
Could be.
yes.
Yeah.
I also think it depends on the costume you're making, because it might work out for a clone trooper, for example, and it might not work out for a Praetorian Guard. You know, for whatever reason, you know, this way or the other. Because I personally do like that kit on my season 1 hunter. I love that kit. And mostly because it is very flexible and
Right.
it is forgiving in the sense of like the tolerance it has. Like it won't completely burst like a 3D print might if I go too far compared
Yeah.
to, you know.
So
You know, it
Yeah.
might crack a
And-
little
and
bit, which it has.
ultimately, again, I think it actually kind of points
But you
back to
can,
the same
like, literally,
thing.
like,
I think it's
CA
just
glue
a
that
matter of
spot and
understanding the
you're
materials,
solid.
the limits that it has, and the steps
for a while, probably.
and techniques
But yeah, I
necessary
think
to work with
it might
it. and
depend also
Maybe it
on the costume.
either need to be prepared to redo some stuff, or you may not be happy with the results.
You know, I love this question because the word regret. I think if I was asked this question maybe 10 years ago, I'd probably respond differently. But I look at like learning opportunity. I look at mistakes as learning opportunities now, right? And I think we all do. So I'm not trying to say like I've come to realize this in my wisdom. No, I'm not trying to say that. But it's just a position of the mindset, I guess, of how you look at things, and what do you do when you get down on it? Like when you get down on yourself, when you get down on the thing, how do you move past it? And so some people will vent, and that's all they need to do. Other people will maybe share with their group, like the squad, like we have, and say, "Hey, I did this. I'm not sure I'm too happy with it." When I was building, I didn't know you guys, and it was during COVID, so I was doing it in my garage through the forums. That's all the connection I had to people. And would I've liked to have people around me, you guys around me? Oh, heck yes. I probably would have saved so much time, saved so much money on seriously, like on wasted materials. But where I kind of see it from a different angle is I've learned so much from that. And it's a kind of relation to fatherhood, right? So the fathers, and this is to all the dads listening, like there are times where we try to protect we're always protecting our family and our kids, always, 100% of the time. But sometimes it's okay to let them fall. And we have to kind of measure that. And it's different for everybody because there's lessons in that. So going back to building, I see the correlation there. There's some goodness in the mess ups and screw ups, as long as you don't make the same mistake again. Like, come on, like you got to learn from that and move forward. And kind of like Riverside, like we kept trying over and over again, but we want to get better, right? And so I appreciate that question. Yeah, I appreciate that question. Yeah.
That's why I'm always pushing John to try
make
new
a lot
things.
of the same mistakes still. That
color sanding or whatever. Because
John,
if he makes
if
he makes the mistake, then I'm good.
Yeah, learn from it.
And if he learns from it, he's growing.
But I mean, like since we've been doing this podcast, like I've learned about gold flake from you, Steven. Now I'm learning of this hydro.
Yeah. Let me spend the money.
Process from Brian. Yeah, hydro dipping. Like
hydro dip.
It's a win-win for you.
Really cool. And then Ramey's just constantly designing stuff. Ramey's like in another century, but it's just really cool.
Hydro dipping.
Yeah. That's all I got.
No regrets, Crosshair?
No regrets.
I want to clean my gun and be alone with my thoughts. And I don't need to talk about anything else.
Hey, Brian.
Hi.
What's your favorite?
I might regret.
What's your favorite or best memory or example of fatherhood in your life?
Guess I had all show to think about this. Mine's like, ironically, mine is similar to Ramey's, because my father was super into aviation, and he renovated, I think I talked about it before, like he used to renovate World War II aircraft and be around airplanes all the time. And when I was a kid, he had his best friend had like a private airport, and they renovated airplanes together. And he would have me like wet sanding underneath a wing, and at the time I'm like, I'm like 13, 14, like this is stupid. What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. But like he taught me so much about like tools and building things, and he built RC planes, and he worked on all the cars. And when I turned 16 and broke my truck 2 weeks after having it, it like sat there for 2 weeks, and I dropped the transmission in it trying to be a dummy. And he goes, and I'm like, Dad, like when's the truck going to be fixed? And he's like, oh, you ready? And I was like, what? He's like, you ready to fix it? And I was like, okay. And he like, what are those things called? The creeper. Put me on the creeper, put a tool in my hand and push me under it. See those bolts there? Undo them. Okay. Then spent 2 weeks fixing it. But those, even though I didn't really get into aviation, him teaching me how to like be resourceful and use tools and do things with my hands, is probably like the greatest memory of that. It's just like, cause that got me into, I mean, I worked on motorcycles and I've worked on cars, and doing this hobby, it makes it super easy for me just to like, oh yeah, glue, resin, this tool, that tool, sandpaper, like whatever. Like it's not even, I realize to a lot of people that's like foreign to them, and try to pass on that stuff to my daughter, but I don't know. It's hard when you have a daughter. not the best father when it comes to that, especially when you have a daughter, because, you know, mom has the same relationships and stuff. I don't know. It's tough. But yeah, that'd probably be my best
She
thing.
might roll her eyes at you occasionally, Brian, but she is listening. She'll remember eventually.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know, in terms of all of our skill levels, I think you take the cake when it comes to having an idea for a costume and just completely sculpting it out of nothing. Like, for instance, you know, Crosshair, you completely like took a season 1 Crosshair and converted this whole thing out of Bondo and resin and all this stuff, and just so resourceful to turn it to season 2. And then look at the same thing you're doing with Star-Lord with the jacket, dude.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I have no fear of like, oh, am I doing the right thing? I just like, I have the idea and I just go for it, because generally you can fix stuff. You know what I mean? Like 10-foot rule. Come on, people.
But Brian, I think you've said it yourself.
I don't think 10-foot rule works for an airplane, but
oh my gosh, no, Brian, you've kind of said that where like you don't necessarily like. I mean, you'll have an idea, but you might not. It might not be clear until you get into your workbench, and then all of a sudden the ideas just start pouring in. Like when you're in front of stuff. Is that safe to say? Like that's
for sure, 100%. Like I need to take an idea. I need to get my hands on it and start just trying things. That's literally most of everything I do. I'm just trying things. But this was fun. I'm glad we did this little Father's Day segment. Hope everyone who's a father has a great day. Try to be a good dad.
May your chili overfloweth.
May your chili overflow. I know being a dad is not always the easiest. It's not. I think you know, social media shows one thing too for a lot of people, and people take what they can from it. But
we're trying,
you know,
guys.
It's not hard, but we try, and
we're trying.
And if you're trying, that's a lot more than some people. So it's show some love. It's late.
Well, I think that does it for us today, guys. If you've enjoyed listening to the show, feed the algorithm and give us 5 stars on your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our road to 1,000 contest is almost halfway done, and there's still time to enter. Just subscribe, and you can be entered to win an Alpha Ignition helmet of your choice, casted by the Dad Batch. You can follow me at Stevie.Kicks on Instagram, sometimes Twitter. Gentlemen, let the listeners know where they can find you. Joe?
Heroes and Villains. No, just kidding. Tech.badbatch. And by the way, Heroes and Villains has some awesome stuff like this amazing blanket. Check it out.
Get something for Dad.
Get something for Dad.
Raimi, where can the listeners find you?
thedadbatch.com.
And John? And Brian?
On the road again.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 44 of the Dad Batch podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 45. And remember, he might have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy. Until next time, enjoy your spice responsibly.